Okay, I quickly want to share a bit on how to get to power. We live in a world that is power crazy, and a lot of things depend on power or who occupies the position of power. And there are many reasons why people want to get to power. Some people want status, some people want money, some people want fame, some people want to build a credibility around their names. And so people seek the position of power by all means. But there are legitimate ways of getting to power, just like there are illegitimate ways of getting into power. But it suffices us to look into all these ways, possible avenues that people can get into power. And then let me start with this one that is called negotiation. That is, it is possible for you to negotiate your way into power. All right. The reason why you need to negotiate sometimes is because people just want to use you. Okay. So, for instance, you have a value to deliver. For instance, you have a particular solution to a particular problem, and then people can call upon you to come and solve their problems for them. And then after you have solved their problems, they leave you, and then so that you can continue with your life. But if you are the smart type, you can strike a deal, that is, you enter into negotiation with them and say, okay, if I will have to do this for you, then you have to reward me with this. Okay. This was seen in a man called Jephthah. Jephthah had built up his capacity. He has strengthened his warfare skills and expertise. So when the Gileadites needed someone to solve their problem, that is, they needed someone to go and fight their battle on their behalf. Now they came to Jephthah and said, Jephthah, come and help us to fight our battle. And Jephthah said, okay, that's not a problem at all. That's what I've been training for all this while. But if I will have to fight your battle, then that means that I will need to be your head. So let's sign that deal. Let's sign it into paper. All right. So they signed a deal that, okay, if you can win this battle for us, you will become our king. All right. That is, you become our leader there. So he went with them and fought the battle. Unfortunately, he won the battle. And that was how Jephthah, who was neglected by his brothers, he later became their head. Now, I think the reason why he negotiated with them was because he knew these guys to be shrewd people. If I help them to solve their problem today, they will neglect me, they will leave me. I know the kind of people they are. So sometimes when you notice the shrewdness of people, when you notice, if you can observe that people are unfaithful, some people are ungrateful, they just want to use you. So you can decide to strike a deal with them and enter into negotiation. That this thing you want me to do for you, if I'm doing it for you, then this is the reward that I anticipate, and we have to agree into it before we go into it. Okay. Now there's a man in Ecclesiastes chapter 9, I think Ecclesiastes chapter 9 verse 15. The Bible calls him the poor wise man. That is, he was wise, but he was poor. He used his wisdom to solve the problem of the city he was living in. There was a problem, and he used his wisdom to solve their problem, to deliver them from their difficult situation. But after a while, nobody remembered this wise man again. This wise man entered into oblivion. This wise man became perpetually poor. And the question is that why should a wise man who solved the problem of a city still remain a poor man? Why will he still remain destitute in his position? Why can't he take the prominent stage? Why can't he become relevant in the city? I think the reason is because this man did not have the negotiating power. Okay, he was dealing with people who are ungrateful. He was dealing with people who are simply users. So they used him and dumped him. Now, when you notice that you are dealing with this kind of people, by wisdom, enter into an agreement with them and say, okay, if I will do this thing for you, then this is what I expect for you in return. Nothing goes for nothing. All right. But mind you, not in every case that one needs to negotiate. There are some things you just do. Even though if you try to negotiate, it might not even work. But just be discerning enough to know what to do at that particular point in time. Another person that comes to mind is David. When David entered into the battlefield where Goliath was terrorizing the Israelites, he asked the people around him and said, what shall be done to a man who will deal with these uncircumcised Philistines? And they said, thus and thus will be done to such a man. So what David was looking was that, okay, I'm going to deal with this Goliath, but what's the provision you have for such a person that will deal with these guys? All right. So when you are dealing with certain people, you must learn how to make a demand. Don't just do free work. There's a place and a time for you to do a free service. All right. But for you to enter into some certain circle, into some certain space, you must learn the attitude and the skill of negotiating. So in the next edition or in the next episode, I'm going to be looking at the other types or other ways and avenues that people get into power. Until then, thank you so much for watching. My name is Sijuade Ade. God bless you and keep leading.